Spring is right around the corner, just another few weeks of excruciating pain and misery in Berlin, and the sun will be out again. And with it, every man, woman, and non-binary creature in between will start rocking short skirts and t-shirts to show off their tattoo collection. Make sure that the good weather doesn't catch you unprepared and untattooed. Click the link in the description below and book an appointment. Welcome back. 1 week more. I still don't know how to open these, what to do with my hands. We'll get there. Thanks for being once again here. I'm a little bit low energy today. I apologize. I hope by the time this episode rolls out, the weather is fully in spring mode, but by the time of the recording, it's still dragging, and god damn it, March always gets to me. You keep on telling yourself throughout February, like, come on, March is around the corner, and then March comes and it starts fucking snowing. Yeah, I think I'm getting old for this. I've had like a roller coaster, like an emotional roller coaster with the cold and the lack of light. And I think for the past few winters, I had settled at a point that I was kind of okay with it, for as long as like you don't go out too much in winter, or you do, I don't know, mainly indoor activities, you should be fine. But having a kid has changed everything, right? Even the perspective of escaping the winter has changed with a kid. The kid, you cannot stay the whole day indoors, so all of a sudden it went from being in nice cafes and doing a lot of movies and a lot of restaurants and spas and shit like that in winter, to spending a long time outdoors, freezing my balls and just being wet and dirty, full of mud and muddy snow. So I think even like I was saying, the perspective of escaping winter, like a lot of people around me does, they kind of go out for the worst months, sometime between November and February. These, I think, with kids that are as young as mine, you can do it, but at some point, once school starts and whatnot, is also unsustainable. So it's the idea of like living in Berlin and just going away for some part of the winter and then coming back and enjoying the summer. It's not so realistic anymore. And I also have seen severe examples of people having the hardest post-vacational depressions I've seen in my fucking life, coming back and going like, hey, if I skip until February, maybe March, and then you come from wherever the fuck you are, like super sunny, super beautiful, and you come like, bam, snowy Berlin in March. I don't want to have to deal with that anymore. So I don't know. I still love the city. Not so much that I love the city, but I owe a lot to the city. It gave me my vocation. It gave me the mother of my children, my son. He's a Berliner, believe it or not. So I don't know. I owe a lot to the city, but I keep on finding myself, especially in days like these, fantasizing a lot with the idea of moving back down south. I think, for me, the idea of leaving Europe is kind of scary. I'm your quintessential European douchebag, and it would be very difficult for me to think about moving to Australia or South Africa or Mexico, or I don't know. It's too far away from my culture in a way. So it always goes back to the Mediterranean, right? Like when this idea of like the shitty weather gets me, I never dream of tropical places. I always dream about a nice little home somewhere in the Mediterranean. But then I catch myself really quickly kind of giving up that idea, because it would mean sacrificing tattooing, right? Or maybe not tattooing, because there's tattooers everywhere, but sacrificing my voice as a tattooer. And it's not so much that I couldn't do what I do in the south, right? Spain, Italy, the south of France. Even if you take the extended concept of Mediterranean countries, Portugal, they all have amazing tattooers that do killer contemporary art within tattooing, right? But it is very difficult to survive doing only that. Not so much because there's a lack of talent, but there's a lack of culture amongst clients. Peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of I suck at these. But I'm trying. I'm gonna get there. I promise. One day I'm gonna be able to make decent ad reads when this channel has sponsors. But in the meantime, for as long as I don't know how to read like I'm a toddler or something, we need your support. Of course, you can like, share, subscribe, comment. All these things are more than welcome, and they truly, really help. But we also need money to keep the lights on. That's why we've launched a GoFundMe campaign to collect donations, not only for this channel, but also to support my other two projects, New Fob and Hiragana Studio. Both of these projects are non-profits that support independent tattooers in one way or another. And the work that I do there is pro bono, which again is a very fancy way to say for free. Okay, so the cool thing about GoFundMe compared to other crowdfunding platforms is that it's not all or nothing. This means that you don't need to reach the campaign's goal to have access to the donations. So every donation that you send, minus a little something for the platform, will find its way to us and help us support these projects, and who knows, maybe even get some help. Click the link in the description below, read a bit more about the project, and help us continue the good work. And I don't know if I'm spoiled because of living in Berlin. Right here, I have the feeling people are so used to tattooing. It's absolutely not shocking at all to simply be tattooed. You need to be tattooed with a crazy design, right? You find policemen that have full body suits, and lawyers and judges and teachers and grandmas, and having a tattoo is no longer something that you would turn around in the street for. So people need to get crazy things to get that shock value that you get in other places by the sheer fact of having a forearm tattooed, right? I think that this might be the key to the tattoo scene in Berlin being that wild, is because people tend to ask for the craziest things, gravitate towards the craziest piece that you have in your flash catalog, and it has always pushed tattooers to do bigger, crazier, bolder, and think outside of the box, right? And precisely because clients are used to dealing with tattooers that are not so much service oriented, but rather free thinkers and that carry themselves as artists, I think they have a lot of etiquette when dealing with those artists, right? I think they know that they have to do their homework before the day of the appointment. And once they've decided that you're the person they want to work with, there's no need to try and convince them that they did the right choice, right? They trust you with the placement, size, color palette. You do you. I'm not here because of your hand. I'm here because of your brain, right? So I think this is, I don't know if it's a matter of time, and someday it will end up happening in the South, but as of right now, it's impossible to find that in the South. I think a big part of it is that there's such a I don't know, like beach culture and life built around sun and sunbathing, and there's a lot of not only the Mediterranean people have a deeper skin tone, but also that there's a ton of fluctuation in that tone between winter and summer, because you have to remember that the Mediterranean countries, for the most part, they also have winters, right? So I think with all this exposure to the sun, tattoos tend to age way faster than they do in a place like Germany or Sweden, or even in places where the amount of sun is a little bit more consistent, right? And I think when that happens, inevitably you ask yourself, what's the point in certain levels of details or a certain level of attention to detail in certain styles? They just don't work. They look blurry and messy 3 years after getting them, right? So I think when you don't seek to find these technical levels that are above average, because anyway it doesn't make sense because of your lifestyle, I think the figure of the tattooer is a little bit undermined, maybe would be a good word. We have killer artists that are respected all around the world, but still in their hometown they have to work doing walk-ins and a ton of custom pieces, and their best work is always done to clients that fly from abroad, or when they go on guest spots, or when they are in tattoo conventions, or when they're trading with other tattooers, right? So I think this is definitely a big part of it, but there's also an important part. There's some residual traces of a cultural bias against tattoos, because for the most part, culturally, people are pretty religious down the south. Not only that people in the south of Europe are super Catholic, culturally speaking. Even, it doesn't matter if they go or not to church. The way we understand friendship and loyalty and guilt and pleasure, all these things are very tight culturally within Catholic religion, right? And I think it probably is pretty similar in the north of Africa with Muslim culture more than religion, right? So that doesn't mean that people see still tattoos as an evil thing, but I think they see them either as an edgy thing or as a dumb thing. But in any case, it just looks almost uncool to put too much attention to a tattoo, right? If it's supposed to look like an edgy badass thing, it's almost counterproductive that you curate it too much and make it look too nice. You want it like bold and even like a little poorly done so that it looks more badass. And of course, if it's supposed to be like something dumb, something spontaneous that you did not really think of and whatnot, you definitely don't want it over curated, right? So all in all, it makes almost like the research that someone in Berlin would do to find the right artist, and the respect that you would show for the artist behind the tattoo, it's almost like dumb in a place like Spain, at least, right? And I think, I don't know, maybe over time, with more guests coming to studios in the south, and more southern tattooers traveling throughout Europe and bringing back the way in which they sell designs, they showcase their work, they value their work financially in the way they carry themselves with clients. All these could contribute to things eventually changing, but for the most part, I think it's currently a tough place for artistic tattooers to thrive, and it will continue to be. But what I've caught myself several times fantasizing, especially in days like these when the weather is so shitty outside, is what if something similar to the Japanese traditional or the American traditional or Polynesian traditional could happen in the Mediterranean, right? What if there would be a style that would be of that place and people would travel to that place to get it done, right? If the people of the place are not the best clients, but we have established that people in other places have like a better tattoo culture, and they understand the artistry behind doing great tattoos. One thing that the Mediterranean doesn't lack for sure is tourism, right? So what if you would add getting a tattoo to the list of things that a tourist has to do when going to the Mediterranean, right? What if it's like, in the case of going to Spain, you need to swim in the fucking sea and get a paella and drink sangria and get a Mediterranean tattoo. So I think this is what has been obsessing me over the last couple of years, and I think is what I'm trying to do. Actually, I'm trying to create a new genre, probably like called something like modern Mediterranean tattooing or something like this, that could not only potentially help me to move back to the Mediterranean without having to sacrifice the style that I do and the voice that I have, but that could potentially help other fellow Mediterranean artists sort of reclaim the birthplace of that style, right? And create that sense of Mediterranean identity that would allow people to travel from country to country in the Mediterranean, just collecting pieces within that genre. That's my cliffhanger. I'll talk more about how I'm actually doing this next week. For today, I'm way past my time. My stopwatch is showing me the middle finger like this and telling me, again, you did it again. What am I gonna do? I don't know. It's the way my brain works. As always, if you like the things that I'm discussing here and you see that although there's a lot of work to be done, we're headed in an interesting direction, please remember to like, subscribe, comment, share, and donate. There's a link in the description below that will bring you to the GoFundMe, and you can read a little bit more about the campaign we've created and what the donations will be used for, etc., etc. In the meantime, Herbert and I say see you next week.